It's time for the after show. It's time for the after show.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. I swear, I love that we have this podcast and we get to do this. Dr.
Yes.
Avanti was so awesome, right?
Yes, she was. I was like, listen, I was like taking mental notes because I was like, all right,
Girl.
I was like, okay, well, I thought I was doing good with my routine, but apparently I need to up my game a little bit with getting outside. So I'm gonna
Yeah, girl,
try
me
it.
too. Me too. I can definitely go outside easily. I need to figure out how to get into nature, like get in nature more though.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, I can take walks with the baby. It just sometimes feels daunting to like pack her up and get her ready. And I'm a homebody dime. I love to just be at home and sit in front of the computer and do work. I mean, I like to do that and then spend time with the family, but we're gonna work on it. I love her gentle approach. Like it
Yes.
wasn't like you got to do this and you got to do it perfectly, and it was just so like relaxed. And a lot of it was also appeared to be common sense as far as like the eating
Yeah.
seasonally, being in tune with nature. It's like this is what our ancestors did, like
Did.
truly.
Mm-hmm.
So we just live in such a different world these days. When you think about, like
I
she said,
know
eating
it.
strawberries in January in Chicago, it's like ain't no strawberries outside. This is
That's
imported
true.
in, and so imagine
That's true.
how what it does to your body as far as being balanced.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting.
It
I'm
is. It
definitely gonna get
makes
her book too.
I'm gonna get her book too. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense though when I think about it because I think about there are ways in which I don't eat in with the seasons, but then there are some
Mm-hmm.
things that I do, right? Like I recognize that like I mean this summer I've probably been eating more red meat than I need to in life,
Yeah.
but I noticed that the heavier foods, like I usually don't eat like gumbo until it's
Mm,
colder out, right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
then like red beans, I know that like, growing up, that's a New Orleans tradition. You have red beans and rice every Monday, right? I don't always have it. I don't have it every Monday. I'm gonna just be real.
Yeah.
I don't. But I know that I eat it more in the winter time because it is a
Mm-hmm.
heavier meal.
It's hardier. Yeah.
And then there's things like salads in the
Mm-hmm.
wintertime trying to get me to eat a salad, I'm like, I love salad.
Yeah.
I love salad, but I'm like,
Right.
I don't really want this right now. And that makes
Yeah.
sense when we
It
when she
does.
think of, when you think about eating with the season.
Yep. That's true. And then to piggyback off of that, when you think about eating for the seasons of life that you're in, I think about what my doula and midwife shared with me. So after I gave birth, they were very, one, I had just like released a human being and my
Yes, you
placenta
did.
with all these
Yeah.
nutrients. You, Dom, you saw the video.
Yes,
You
I
saw the
did.
release.
Yes.
You saw the birth video, girl. You
I
saw what
did.
had happened.
I
And so
did.
all of the nutrients and vitamins and the things that I was needing, they were
Yeah.
released. And so they were so big on me replenishing my body with a lot of like warm, hearty meals. So she was making stews and different like special hot chocolates and just a lot of different meals to keep me warm. And she was mindful about me having like socks on my feet if I went to the bathroom and just keeping my body warm and like just
Yeah.
keeping things together, wrapping my belly and all that. So when she was talking about that, I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Like she said, we're both living in the Bay, but based on where we are in our lives, we're going to be eating different things because
Yes.
of the season that we're in personally, in addition to the season that we're in, environmentally. So I was like, oh, this was really good.
This
I really
was
enjoyed the
really
topic.
good.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was like, okay, yes, I definitely want to learn more about
Yeah.
how to be in tune. And I loved when she also talked about like getting rid of like the toxins, and that
Hmm.
toxins are a lot of things, right? Like it's your environment
Yes,
that you're in, it's your work, it's your relationships, like it's a lot of
that
those
part.
things. And I'm like, listen, we need to do an episode on like toxic work environments, right? Because we
Ooh.
talked about like toxic relationships and like
Hmm.
toxic like toxic like family members, but
Yeah.
we haven't talked about like toxic work environments
Work environment.
or our living space, right? Like
Yeah.
not just the physical building that we may live in, but
Hmm.
the environment
Yeah.
overall that we live in. Like you had mentioned on the episode about living in a big city. There's a
Yeah.
lot of I remember seeing in maybe a couple of months into the pandemic, and there was a
Hmm.
picture that went out that showed because the world was shut down how
Yes.
clear the skies were in LA, how clear the
Yes.
skies were in India, where they have a lot of pollution, and just
Yep.
how clear the skies were. And I was like, damn, we
The
breathe in a
skies.
lot of shit, literally.
Right, yo, right? Like part of me is like, I don't even want to think about it, but it is important to know because
Right.
with all the cars that are in the area, like the pollution is just crazy as far as the smog and all that stuff. But also, I was thinking about how during the pandemic, there were different bodies of water that had like cleared up and there, I could be making this up, y'all. So fact check me, okay? But I feel like I also saw. Now I swear, now that I'm about to say it, I feel like it's silly. But does this sound true, Dom? I feel like there were different species that were extinct that came back. Is that a lie? Did I make that up?
I don't think they came back during the pandemic, but
All
I
right,
do think
yeah.
that they're, yeah, yeah.
Girl,
I
okay,
have seen where there are species that are starting to replenish some kind of way. I
okay,
don't, but yes,
okay.
yes, you're
Okay,
not
yeah, y'all
totally
Google
off.
that. I'm not the species, but Google that, y'all. Don't be
Yeah,
believing everything Terry say, okay? But yeah, girl, I feel like that was another thing. There was something else I was gonna think of. Oh, I love that she chose that picture because I was hoping that
yes,
she would choose that picture. But it was such
hmm,
a beautiful photo, and the fact that just hearing folks talk a bit more about what's behind the scenes of the photo, because
yes,
I wanted to ask her like, how did you do it? Because I know I've heard of the
right.
different pressures that immigrant families have. I think there's a
Have,
different type of
yeah,
pressure that they have on them as opposed to Americans. I know we have certain pressures too, but from what I've heard from whether you're an African immigrant or an Indian immigrant, I just heard about a different type of pressure that their families put
yeah,
on them. So she talked about her different roles in life, being a wife, a mother, having East Asian, in-laws and a husband and being a medical school and medical professional. I'm just like, whoa, that did sound very daunting. And so I
it's a
think her writing a whole another book about how she managed all of that, because that was my next question was like, how did you do it?
lot,
So
right?
I'm grateful for her transparency.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to find a way to get her back on here because that was beautiful.
Hmm